My husband, Mark, and I had been married for 5 years. We were what everyone called the perfect couple. We had a beautiful home, great jobs, and a love story that seemed straight out of a movie. But lately, things have felt a little too quiet. The spark that once lit up our every moment seemed to be dimming, replaced by a comfortable, predictable routine. I missed the excitement, the unpredictability of our early days. I just didn't know how to say it. One evening, Mark came home from a work trip. He'd been gone for a week, and I'd missed him terribly. As we were catching up over dinner, he looked at me with an unusual intensity. He said he'd been thinking a lot about us, about how to bring back that old excitement. My heart skipped a beat. Was he thinking the same thing I was? Then he said it. He suggested we try couple swapping. The words hung in the air, heavy and strange. He explained he'd been talking to a colleague who, along with his wife, was part of a group that did this. He painted it as an adventure, a way to explore new things together, to strengthen our bond by sharing a unique experience. He said it wasn't about other people. It was about us. It was about being open and honest and pushing our boundaries. I was shocked. Part of me was immediately resistant. The thought of him with someone else, of me with someone else, it felt like a betrayal. But another, smaller part of me was curious. Was this the jolt our marriage needed? He saw the conflict on my face and was so gentle. He said we didn't have to do anything. We could just meet his colleague and his wife, Sarah, for dinner. No pressure. Just a casual get-together to see if we even liked them. I was so torn. I loved Mark more than anything, and the thought of losing him was unbearable. Maybe he was right. Maybe this was just a modern way to keep a relationship fresh. The fear of saying no, of him thinking I was closed-minded or that I was the reason our marriage was in a rut, was overwhelming. So, against my better judgment, I said yes. I agreed to meet them. A week later, we were sitting in a fancy restaurant across from Tom and Sarah. They were charming, funny, and sophisticated. They spoke about their experiences with an ease that was both unnerving and fascinating. They talked about trust and communication, about how it had brought them closer. They made it sound so normal, logical, even. By the end of the night, my initial fear had been replaced by a cautious curiosity. They weren't monsters, they were just a regular couple, like us, trying to navigate their relationship. Mark was thrilled. On the way home, he couldn't stop talking about how great they were, how this could be so good for us. He held my hand and told me he loved me, that I was the only one for him, and this was just a bit of fun. I felt a knot in my stomach, but I pushed it down. I wanted to believe him. I wanted this to be the answer. We agreed to go to their house the following Saturday. The entire week was a blur of anxiety. I tried to focus on work, on my hobbies, but my mind kept drifting back to what was about to happen. Was I really going to do this? Was I about to cross a line there was no coming back from? I looked at Mark, and he seemed so happy, so excited. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint him. I told myself it was for us, for our marriage. The night arrived. My hands were trembling as I got dressed. Every outfit felt wrong. When we got to their house, my heart was pounding out of my chest. Tom and Sarah greeted us with warm smiles and glasses of wine. The evening started out normally enough. We talked, we laughed, the wine flowed. But as the night wore on, the atmosphere shifted. The unspoken reason for our gathering filled the room. And then it happened. It all felt like an out-of-body experience. I remember feeling detached, like I was watching a movie. There was a moment I looked across the room and saw Mark with Sarah. The image is burned into my mind. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't liberating. It was just heartbreaking. In that instant, I knew we had made a terrible mistake. This wasn't strengthening our bond, it was shattering it into a million pieces. The drive home was silent. The air in the car was thick with unspoken regret. When we got inside our house, the dam broke. I started crying deep, gut-wrenching sobs. Mark tried to hold me, but I pulled away. He kept saying he was sorry, that he thought this is what we both wanted. But his words felt hollow. The trust, the sacredness of our marriage had been violated. Our home, once our sanctuary, now felt tainted. The days that followed were the hardest of my life. We were like two strangers living in the same house. Every time I looked at him, I saw him with her. Every time he touched me, I flinched. The quiet we had before seemed like a blessing compared to the deafening silence that now consumed us. The experiment that was supposed to save our marriage had destroyed it. We tried to talk, but the conversations always ended in tears and accusations. I felt so lost and alone. I finally realized that no amount of external excitement could fix what was broken on the inside. True intimacy isn't about grand gestures or pushing boundaries. It's about the quiet moments, the shared trust, and the unwavering commitment to protect each other's hearts. I started seeing a therapist. Talking to someone who wasn't involved helped me sort through the storm of emotions, the anger, the guilt, the profound sadness. I learned that my feelings were valid. I learned that it's okay to say no, to protect your own boundaries, even from the person you love most. It's not about being closed-minded. It's about being true to yourself. Mark started going to therapy too, both with me and on his own. It was a long and painful process. There were times I thought we would never find our way back. Rebuilding trust is like trying to glue together a shattered vase. You can piece it back together, but the cracks will always be there. A reminder of the break. We had to learn to communicate all over again, to be truly honest about our fears and desires, not just look for quick fixes. We had to face the real issues in our marriage that we were trying to avoid: the boredom, the lack of communication, the fear of growing apart. I'm sharing this story not for judgment, but in the hope that it might help someone else. If you're feeling a disconnect in your relationship, please know that the solution isn't outside of it. It's within it. It's in the hard conversations, the vulnerability, and the courage to face your problems together. Sometimes, the most adventurous thing you can do is to simply turn towards your partner and truly listen. Our journey is far from over. Some days are still hard, but we are fighting for our marriage, for the love that was there long before that terrible night. We are slowly, carefully, trying to find our way back to each other. If you are struggling in your relationship or with your mental health, please know you are not alone. Talking to a professional therapist or a counselor can make a world of difference. There are resources available, like the National Alliance on Mental Illness and other mental health hotlines. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe for more stories.